till now, and next we'll see the most important part of this coursework is NP completeness and Cook's theorem. So we'll see what is NP completeness first. Like we obviously know that P should be subset of NP because if there is a problem which could be solvable in P means polynomial time does not need to have some guessing. Means if you know the deterministic solution, then obviously you can do some guessing for solving it. Because you know the deterministic solution, then obviously you can write a non-deterministic algorithm for that as well. Then the correctness of that solution can be computed in polynomial time. Means you can verify that whether it is correct or not in uh, polynomial time as well. Thus, P should be the subset of NP. So the most important question arises from here, from the open problem of that theoretical computer science is that is P is equals to NP, means whether that P is equals to NP or P is not equals to NP. So most likely and most scientists believe, and almost everyone of current world believes that P is not equals to NP. Then the question arises is that so what should be the P and NP set look like? So we'll see later that how this P and NP set look like along with some NP complete. Then currently there are many known decision problems on NP. Means there is no polynomial time solution. Means there is no algorithm in polynomial time for those problems, and we say them as NP problems. Means non-deterministic polynomial uh, problems. So there is no solution till now we know, but in future there might be some solution. So if you are so keen, you start searching for those open problem and try to find out the solution. So these open problems and tough harder problems are being mentioned in NP complete that we are interested to see. So the P that we had defined as like decision problem that could be solvable by deterministic algorithm in the polynomial time. We had discussed this enough. Then we also seen that there's NP where the decision problem could be solved in the non-deterministic algorithm in polynomial time. So you have some deterministic algorithm that can be solved in polynomial time. Then you have a non-deterministic algorithms that could only guess some of the result and verify it on the polynomial time. So that's the NP part, NP problems. So you have the various groups of similar hard problems like satisfiability, zero one knapsack, longest path partitioning, and these what we can say these all are non-polynomial means non-deterministic polynomial and very hard to be solved. If there is some polynomial time, then they all can be solved. So these problems are being uh, kept such that if one of the problem is solved, then you can reduce that problem to some other problem and you can transform it to solve other problems. So you can reduce and transform. So these problem are alike to each other, means similar to each other. Then you have some what these problems are said to be NP complete, means these are the class of problems that are being said to be NP complete. Then the Cook's theorem. So Cook's is basically Stephen Cooks had introduced the notion of NP complete, and he expressed that P equals to NP is the most interesting topic to be studied in computer science, and he expressed that that P is not equals to NP and all these notions that he introduced. Then the L is basically language. Some language is NP complete if L belongs to NP. Then these there exists some for all language that is in L dash belongs to NP, and L dash could be transformable to L. So this is what he proved, that L is belonging to NP because of this reason, that L dash is something in NP and L dash could be transformable to L. So you have that L also in NP. So you just introduce first NP complete problem and you say it as L dash. Now you find and you define that L dash as NP compute, and then you find out that L dash that could be transformable to some other algorithm. So you again, that L is that another algorithm, you add that L also in the NP complete part. Then what are the important statement that he discussed? If an algorithm, that NP complete problem is there, if an NP complete problem is there that could be solved in polynomial time, then the problem in NP can also be solved in polynomial time. So because these problems are transformable, they are in the collection. If one problem is solved, then other problems are also being solved, and there are the various problems could also be solved that are in the same class. That is, we defined NP complete. So if one NP complete problem is solved in polynomial time, then all the other NP problems of that category could also be solved in polynomial time. Then he also defined that if some problem is in NP, if there is some problem in NP that cannot be solved in polynomial time, then all other problems in NP complete also cannot be solved in polynomial time. If there is a problem that can't be solved in polynomial time, this means that all other problems also can't be solved in polynomial time because these are transformable to each other. Then he said that the NP complete problem is one of the hardest problem in the NP domain, NP. So what does he produce it as a lemma, that there is L1 language and L2 language, or you can say L1 algorithm or L2 algorithm, that actually belongs to L1 problem or L2 problem that actually belongs to NP. What are the conditions given? L1 belongs to NP complete. So L1 is the hardest problem in NP, and L1 could be transformed to the L2. What does it mean? L1 could be transformed to L2. This means that L2 is also belonging to the same set of class that is we defined as NP complete. So the L1 and this could also be said as L1 and L2 belongs to some NP, and there is some language L dash that belongs to NP, and you have L1 L dash transformable to L1, and you have L1 transformable to L2, and this implies that L1 is also transformable to L2. Means there is transformability of one class could be possible. So you define a class that have a similar set of problems, and they have the transformability on each other, and they are equally hard. So this is the set of class that was being defined in NP complete. So first type of problem was being defined by Cooks as satisfiability. So and satisfiability is one of the NP complete problem. So it's first NP complete problem that was being defined by Cooks. And what are the inputs that he took? He took the inputs as set of variables and set of collections of clauses, and that clauses are being worked out over that variables. I hope that you had studied that and or not gate and all these logical uh, inputs and outputs. So you basically want to ask what truth assignment over the set of the elements or the set of clauses or that could satisfy the clause, means set of variables can satisfy the set of clause. So he defined that CNF satisfiability means conjunctive normal form, because they could be expressed in the sum of product, and this example could be taken as like this. So I hope that you already know about not xi means these symbols or and logical or and logical and. So I'm assuming that you know about them. So you can make this type of CNF satisfiability problem, that x1 comma not of x2 similarly so on, and you can make out this, and for a given value of x1 and x2 you can drive what true or false. So you drive true, and x, because x1 and x2 is true, so you can design an algorithm that can do satisfiability and solvability for the two set. And in the next class or next part we'll see three set satisfiability, which is NP hard problem. So NP complete we can also say. So the this if there are two variables, then it's also not satisfiable, and you will see this satisfiability in more detail. I hope that satisfiability would be clear, that you just want to check whatever be the input of x1 and x2, what should be the output of a particular algorithm, and that you need to write some algorithm for this. So that is the satisfiability problem. Next, polynomial time verifier. So what does it mean? There is some NP problem. So you want some polynomial time verifier for what? Whether that solution was correct or not. So you have the algorithm A, and that has two inputs. What is two inputs? Input for the problem that we defined as at x, and some certificate as y. What does y say? Y will say that the certificate, whether it's a uh, polynomial time verifiable or not verifiable. So A is basically said to be is a polynomial time verifiable if uh, the for any x, whatever x you give, there exists some certificate y, means there is some result for y, and you will have this a x comma y as output, means you could able to generate as output that yes, the output will be generated as yes, the algorithm A could be run in the polynomial time, and no, if the algorithm is not able to run in verifiable in polynomial time. So this is the polynomial time verifier, and you can define the algorithm A such with the two inputs, and AXY means this function as you can run the algorithm in the you can run the algorithm and generate the output in terms of yes or no. Means yes will denote that A could be runnable in a polynomial time. No, that it could not be done runnable and verifiable in the polynomial time. It's the simple thing, like whatever the code you have, and you on the first line you write what the timestamp when you start running that code, and after the solution of the algorithm you just write the what the timestamp for ending of the program, when there is an end of the program. So you just check for various input of x and y, that whether that x and y would be how that x and that the change of time would vary, whether the change of time is exponential or not, or it's just a simple polynomial. So based upon that differencing of the timestamp of initiation and ending would actually give you what, the difference between the time of execution of the code for a particular set of input. When you do this for the multiple times for the multiple inputs, then you could able to draw what, a curve. So you can draw a curve, and that curve would actually help you deduce whether that based upon the time, means you keep on incrementing the x as input, means n for n1, for n2, for n30, for n50, for n500, for n1000. So how that curve of time, means how the time would be taken, whether it's a exponential or whether it's a exponential, means directly going up or whether it's a polynomial. So you have to deduce and draw that graph, and you can tell it that it's a polynomial time verifier or not. So how this verification algorithms came into existence? So initially people thought, means before that NP complete, people thought why not we create a complexity class that we term as co-NP. So they created that co-NP, and how that possibly the four ways to existence of this co-NP with NP and NP. So first one will be most likely to be impossible, because if this would happen, then every problem could be solvable, means every algorithm could be solvable in the polynomial time. This could not be possible, because in this case you will have p equals to, then in this case it the p equals to np cannot be possible, means in this case, so p cannot be equals to np in this case. So this is also being discarded. Then the in this case you have what, NP is closed under complement. So whatever be not the part of this one, not the part of the NP. So this is NP complement. This is NP complement, and this can't be NP complement, because if it is NP complement, then this co-NP could be transformable to NP, and this is also not possible, because it's not that easy to solve co-NP problem, means complexity class problem, that we define as hard, NP hard. So it's not possible. So this also been discarded, and thereafter, the most of the researcher would accepted this phenomenon, that there should be some co-NP class of NP and this polynomial time, and there's some intersection between NP and co-NP, and that will give you there's some NP as well. So there is some you can have this NP hard. No, actually, this NPC is basically the part of this NP hard. So NP hard problems. We'll see all these things later, because we when we'll study this NP hard in detail. And so we'll see the next part, like this Euler's tour. I hope that you had already studied this Euler's tour, that there is some graph, and there is some graph and you want to find out the cycle. So how do you find out the cycle? There are two ways. First is Euler's. So what does Euler says, that you have to traverse all the edges, and you can visit the vertices, and additionally you can visit the vertices such that you can visit the same thing again, means you can visit the same thing again. It doesn't matter whether you visit the vertex once or twice, you can keep on visiting again and again. Thus you can drive and write an algorithm to find this that Euler path in Euler tour in order of E, and you can also able to find out the what are the edges that could be part of Euler tour in order of E times. So in this graph, this example, these two are actually Hamiltonian, and this one is Euler, and this one is not Euler's. Then this one is non-Hamiltonian, but this could be Euler's. Then this curve is non-Hamiltonian, but it could be, as well as it is non-Euler. Then you have the Hamiltonian cycle. So Hamiltonian cycle is a NP complete problem. How we can say it's a NP complete problem? Because we don't know any polynomial time algorithm till now for solving the and detecting whether there is some Hamiltonian cycle on the algorithm on the graph or not. So there is no polynomial time algorithm till now to find out whether there is some uh, Hamiltonian cycle in a graph or not. So the Hamiltonian cycle problem is, does a graph contain Hamiltonian cycle or not? So there is two type of graph. This dodecahedron, which is having the Hamiltonian cycle. So it's very easy to see Hamiltonian cycle. So whatever way you go, you can form a cycle with all the vertices. That's the condition, and you visit only once. All these vertices, you just need to visit what? Only once. So this is how you can draw an Euler as well as some that Hamiltonian cycle. So this is Hamiltonian cycle. You can draw this type of Hamiltonian cycle and visit each vertex only once. But in this case, in this bipartite graph, it's not possible to draw what to draw that some to draw Hamiltonian cycle with all the vertices visited. So you can try by yourself. So I draw some edges and it's not Hamiltonian. Then we can define that the problem, does a graph actually have the Hamiltonian cycle or not? And it's basically this NP complete. And you can have this notion of that. What's the thing? Difference is that you just visit only once in the Hamiltonian cycle. So you have the Hamiltonian cycle for the directed graph as well as for the undirected graph. And determining whether it's a Hamiltonian cycle in a graph, in a directed graph or in a indirected graph, both are NP complete. Both are NP complete in case of directed as well as in undirected graph. So this is how the simple cycle and all these things could vary. So in the next class, we'll see NP hard problem, especially three set and traveling salesman. So I hope that you had enjoyed this part of NP complete. Thanks all of you.